Hey guys, and welcome to my podcast. I'm your host Sonya with Sonya's Open Cupboard, and today I wanted to get into the topic of creating a healthy and balanced life. Creating a life that's healthy and balanced is a huge goal for people nowadays, especially as people are becoming more and more aware of it because of the internet. You see it popping up all over social media. While this can be extremely beneficial because we have a ton of answers as to what is better organic or non-organic, or what should we do if our child has a cold and we want a more natural approach. These things are extremely helpful in empowering us to know more about what we do on a day-to-day basis that's healthier for us. The problem with the internet is knowing how to discern what's good information and what's bad information, and how to take in the good information and make it something that's positive for your own life. One of the things that I've noticed recently is a lot of people who are doing 30-day challenges. So basically what they do is they pick a health and wellness trend, such as waking up early to get your day started and going to bed earlier, or journaling, whatever it may be. They try it for 30 days straight and then they give you a review on what that was like. These challenges aren't meant to be bad. It's actually to inspire you to get out of your comfort zone and try something new, and hopefully find something that will genuinely help you in your day-to-day life. So these videos, along with a lot of other health and wellness trends, are great if you use them in the correct way. Unfortunately, like anything that is good and important, we can take it out of context and make it into something that's not so good. I'll use myself as an example. Recently, I was watching one of these 30-day challenge videos, and I was thinking to myself, I've wanted to do that since forever, aka like 5 minutes ago, but in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I've wanted to do that for a while. And so I go into this whole cycle of, that's what I should be doing. Well, why don't I do that? Why can't I do that? And then I start to get on this like downward spiral of, oh man, if I had just done this 2 hours ago, my life would have been so much better. And just getting, really just wrapped up in the fact that, wow, that person is doing it and I'm not. And then the pressure starts to build and you're like, well, maybe I should just go for it. And so when you do try to go for it, which I have tried to do some of these things before, I end up failing because I put the pressure on a little bit too much, and then you get into this cycle of, wow, that sucked, I suck, life is horrible, I can't do anything right. But I'm naturally a dramatic person, so, that's just me. But you do get into this negative mindset of, wow, look at what that person is doing. It's kind of like that fear of missing out that quickly turns into shame and guilt because we aren't living the same life as someone else. Fortunately, over the last few years, I've been working on my health and wellness, and I've found in the last few months when I really have felt like the difference. Like, when you're working on a project and it just stinks, or like you're trying to learn something new and you know what you want, but like every time you try it's terrible, and then one day it like actually looks good and you're like, oh look, I can do it now. That's kind of how it's been for me within the last few months, a lot more balanced. And so in the most recent months, I actually, while I was going over this podcast, I had the thought like, oh my gosh, like I really have stopped watching the types of videos that I used to watch. I used to be obsessed with like what I ate in a day and like vegan diets and whatever like was the health and wellness trend at that point. And I used to watch these all the time. I recently realized that like I unfollowed a lot of those people. I ended up not watching as many of those videos. I still have like a select few group of people that I still like watch their videos because I really love them and I feel like they do benefit me. But I noticed that number had decreased a lot. And recently I was watching some videos on minimalism and essentialism. One of them came to social media and I was like, oh, well, like maybe I should try that. So on Instagram, I kind of did the same thing. I unfollowed a lot of different people that were just on my feed because they're in the same thing and look at their life looks perfect, so I'm going to follow them. But really they weren't benefiting me at all. And instead, I slowly started to replace those videos and those channels with things that were different from what I was kind of like obsessed with. So obviously, like for me, I was obsessed with like food and health and wellness. And so I started to follow more photography accounts, and I started to follow more art pages, and I started to follow like things that I knew that I liked, but I wasn't like immersing myself in that. And of course, I still have like a ways to go, but I've just found that ever since I've become a more intuitive person with my health and wellness, I have found that this intuition is spilling over into other areas of my life that I didn't even realize that was there. And now that I see it, it is there. It's not that I'm perfect or that I have everything together, because I definitely don't. You can ask my husband or anyone else that knows me closely, but I'm definitely trying. The other benefit of taking kind of like this more minimalistic approach to social media and what I choose to see every day is that it's actually helped me to become a lot more creative. So like I was saying, I was following a lot more like art and photography pages, and I've gotten to the point right now that I've gotten so excited over like so many different avenues of that I've had to like tone it down a bit. Like I was looking at a lot of stuff for podcasting and social media and small business and like art and it just like everything you could think of, I've kind of dabbled in lately. And I'm like, okay, Sonya, I gotta reel it back in and pay a little bit more attention to the things right in front of me, what in the middle of learning, and I've almost got it. Kind of think of it as you start jogging, boxing, swimming, and ballet all at the same time, and you want to be the best at all four of them, but can't because you're doing all four of them, so you can focus. So that's what I'm working on right now. But it has been so much better to give myself the freedom to choose what I want and go out down all these different avenues and see all these different forms of creative expression than it was before, because putting myself in this tiny little box of you only watch health and fitness videos, and it kind of like held me back because I was watching the same thing over and over again, and I was feeling defeated rather than inspired. Just some food for thought when it comes to social media and what we're watching and taking in on a day-to-day basis. And social media is like one of those things that it is an extremely helpful tool, but a lot of times, as long as you don't know how to take control of it for your own life and create balance within that, you find yourself becoming more and more unbalanced because of it. So if you find yourself in this cycle, take a minute or a couple days to step back and kind of reevaluate your trends on social media, like what you do and how you interact. And one thing that I found really helpful is knowing like what personality type I have. So taking like the Myers-Briggs test or the Enneagram and kind of diving into that a little bit more before you try to figure out like, okay, so how can I get myself to spend more time doing XYZ, or how can I help myself to create better habits? When it comes to creating a healthier and more balanced lifestyle, it's important to remember who you are as a person. Some health and wellness trends aren't going to work for you, not because you're a failure, but because your life looks different than someone else's. Some people have the motivation and time to run marathons, while you might only have the time to walk 30 minutes every day. But no matter what, you are forming habits for your own life. Think about what motivates and inspires you. What types of food make you feel your best physically and mentally, and the same for exercise, and the same for habits and routines. Use social media as a guide to help you learn more about those specific topics that you know work for you or that you want to know more about in general. And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, you move on to the next thing, because no artist is amazing at every single artistic project that they do. Like there's certain things that they're just not able or don't want to accomplish, and that's okay. So don't be discouraged from what doesn't work for you, but instead focus what does and go from there. Thanks again for stopping by. I'm Sonya with Sonya's Open Cupboard, and I hope you have a wonderful day.